Suffolk County is one of New York's most important agricultural regions according to Cornell Cooperative. It's an ideal location for over 100 different crops, but sadly one of these crops is no more. The Long Island potato is no longer cultivated on Long Island since late 2023, when Wells Potato Farm packed up and left, moving 392 miles away to Maine, as they could no longer afford the land they had cultivated for hundreds of years. They were able to sell their 236 acres and purchase nearly 1,000 in the Pine Tree State. This may not sound like a huge problem, but it's a great example of the struggles small family farms are facing, and this move has major impacts. Local produce is an important part of economies and is a great solution to carbon production. Moving of produce is difficult, as it not only needs to be moved by truck, but requires refrigeration, which drastically increases power draw and subsequently makes carbon output higher than non-refrigerated goods. When the Wells were in Riverhead, every truck sent full of potatoes to New York City, the largest and closest market, produced roughly 440 pounds of carbon per trip. Now that they have moved to Maine, this shoots up to approximately 3,000 pounds, over 6 times the original output, just from one farm. This presents us with the crux of American small farming. How do we ensure they can remain while not placing a massive burden on the farmer or on the rest of us? The US government has a solution for this problem: government subsidies, which help offset costs of production for farmers. And it makes sense that the government would want to help the producers of food, as it is essential to a nation's welfare. But when put into practice, we are faced with glaring issues. This year, we're forecasted to spend $10.4 billion on direct farming subsidies. And this is not as high as it's gotten. In the year 2000, we put $33 billion into farmers' pockets. And these numbers might sound good, but the way that credits work, which determine the amount a farm receives, leaves smaller family operations at a serious disadvantage. Studies have estimated that the top 9% of farms, specifically corn and soy product farmers, receive 60% of all of that funding, while the bottom 78% only receive 10%. The best way for us to save those small family farms is to protect their land from the elements. This would require use of hoop houses, what we know as greenhouses, to cover an entire farm. It would allow them to grow year-round, taking a grow season of roughly 90 days a year, which is one season, to 365 days, a little over 5 times the yield every year. Taking farming out of the elements and providing stable temperatures with geothermal heating would allow every small family farm to provide for themselves based purely on output. While mathematically it's a perfect solution, many localities do not like the look of greenhouse farming. And we need everyone to be on board to ensure that these solutions come to fruition. To maintain the silhouette of the classic American farm, while also allowing them to financially survive, we must implement modern vertical farming within traditional farm structures. Within a 3,200 square foot barn, the average size of structures on smaller farms, we could utilize vertical farming to increase output without sacrificing the aesthetic that we value. Vertical farming, used mostly in urban settings, is an excellent way to go about revolutionizing cultivation and propagation by growing upwards. It lets the farmer use 70 to 95% less water and increases output by up to 240 times, as the usage of consistent temperatures and UV lights allow for constant growth, and the medium prevents nutrient depletion in soil, which can stop land from being farmed altogether. This system would maintain all exterior land to be cultivated traditionally, while allowing farms to produce within structures more than double what they can produce outside. For any of these changes to occur, it is a system that must work together. We cannot just expect farmers to suddenly change their ways and invest in this new form of farming. We have to help them reach it. This requires us investing in the infrastructure our most important industry needs, or without them, we starve, and that never ends well.